president and beat Horace Greeley, which you must also know that history, because you need to know the Whiggamore Party and the operative Cottonwoods who've been running these agencies, which is the fundamental foundation of what you've been trained by paid-off black leaders to tell you is racism when they know it's sanctum operations. They absolutely know that. Where they're given a 501c3 Skull and Bones agreement payoff not to talk this information to you. Are we clear? They're supposed to tell you keep hope alive and one of these days and colorful. That's what they're paid to do. While in secret, they got feathers too. Most of them are 32-degree Masons. Do you understand? I mean, they know who you are, but they're paid to keep the black paradigm going on, which is a nom de guerre and makes you non-descendable. Now, when Ulysses Grant defeated Horace Greeley in the election of 62, understand that one of the first issues from his desk was to modify and alter the Naturalization Act of 1790. And this is why when you look in the law book and you look at free white persons and the truth of the status, that really is us, not Europeans. That's why they don't teach you that. And you notice that in 1870 was the modification year of the Naturalization Act. And when the Europeans in 54 to 63 took on the noble title of the defeated Moors, which is free white persons, that's when the Europeans start calling themselves white people, which they're not. Has nothing to do with complexion, legal status. This is why dark priesthood promoted as identities in order to disassociate you with your status and the land. Are we clear? Now, in the Naturalization Act, as an interim, this is in the lesson of Horace Greeley. We won't go into this, but I just want to give this to support, you know, the question and the concept of country, etc., citizenship, geographical location of land, etc. Now, this is an excerpt from the Citizenship of the United States, Expatriation, and this is, I interjected this in the lesson because we have a lot of scholars amongst us that try to dismiss this information, but once you have scholarship, you already know that they're compromised. You don't argue with them or you don't debate with them. You must know that there's opposition to the liberation of these people, meaning that you don't act surprised when you got Judases. You should understand it. Meaning that Rome doesn't rule here just by mere attitude because they don't like people. They rule because you have sellouts. You know, when the overseers didn't stop in 1865, it just covered up. Do you understand? This is why anybody in a position of power in the world must be a Mason, is a man, and an Eastern Star, she's a woman. Although she may be a daughter of Isis, to, you know, any of the orders of the secret orders. Anybody that has any power that deals with any grand body of people, like this big church down the street, guarantee he's a Mason. Somebody else fakes and all that stuff, and soda, dollar guys, and they're all Masons. And they all serve the Pope, not no Jesusness. You understand? But the people don't know that because they're like little boys and girls. They're called sheeple. They're the flock of those shepherds pulling them into the pit. Anyway, full pit. But this is interjected, and this is from the record. This is direct record from Citizenship of the United States, Expatriation, etc. Right? Now notice that this is operation on Naturalization Act. How many people don't pay attention to the country? That's right there, clear as day. What's the country? And you look all major legislation operating here in the Americas, all major legislation, and you'll see that right there. Most people read past it. And I'm showing you that to dispense how things are exposed in people's faces, but yet they see and they don't see. They have eyes and they're not paying attention to details. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now notice this. Now keep in mind, you'll see a lot of people today, and when I say today, in these days, in trying to clean up their right of claim to their estate, whether they're going after the cusick number on the bath, on that red numbers on Social Security, authenticating the birth certificate, trying to claim some sovereign stuff to their estate, etc., and don't even know this, their position is incompetent. Do you understand? Look at this, put it this way. Those who know what you know and your degree as soon as you open your mouth and start talking. Particularly if you're talking data and are not in the spirit of what's really the knowledge of what takes place on the planet. Meaning that if you yourself have not become what you know, you will spiritually, or what you call through your breath, demonstrate to a high priest, the swell you're talking about, and you're incompetent, and you're subject. Are we clear? We're talking jurisdiction. But let's read this out and look what is obvious, right? Look what is obvious. And when Brother Abdullah was talking about the Jus principle versus the jus sanguinis, most people are not aware of that line. Because on the surface, both of them represent in a manner of citizenship. And there's an assumption that does not exist. Only when you don't know better. And they play on that because they control the education. You see the point? So let's read this and look what is obvious. Pages 459 and 460. That's for anybody who wants to do some research, and particularly for scholars who want to play these black games to justify whatever financial games they got going on for people trying to sell them some kind of package. Here we go. Chapter 5, temporary provisions. Morocco. Mr. Phillip. Who's Mr. Phillip? Charged the affairs. To Mr. Root. Who is Mr. Root? The Secretary of State. And we ain't talking about Russia. We're talking about the United States. Now, what is this correspondence? What does this have anything to do with? What is being presented in this conversation? Here we go. Charge the affairs to Mr. Root, Secretary of State, August the 3rd, 1906. Now, remember they murdered Winona in 1902. And Rockefeller set up the General Education Board in 1902, and that's the basis from when they started making you docile in the name of education. All right? American Legion, Tangier, August the 3rd, 1906. Why was Obama talking about Treaty of Tripoli? Tangier, Tripoli, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Oh, let's talk. Sir, there are, strictly speaking, no Moroccan laws relating to citizenship of Moorish subjects in Morocco. Fundamentally, the laws of this non-Christian nation, keep that in mind when you go look at what Obama's talking, and it's all over the world on YouTube. What? The contributions of the Moors, he'll just say Muslims, to America. And he goes immediately to Article 11. Why did he pick that article? Because it lets you know this is a non-Christian country, contrary to the concepts that you've been told. All right? So there are, strictly speaking, no Moroccan laws relating to citizenship of Moorish subjects in Morocco. The fundamental laws of this non-Christian country are based entirely on the Islamic code, no part of which treats of the subject of citizenship. And you notice they don't teach that in the schools. There are, however, numerous treaties and conventions between the various Christian countries and the Moorish Empire. How come nobody talks about that? How come they act like they don't know what you're talking about? Remember, this is their record. The Moorish Empire, by means of which citizenship in this country is defined. What country? They call the United States a country? It's really Morocco, but they're talking United States jurisdiction. You see the point? All right. But as I understand from the above acknowledged instructions that it is not the desire of the department to call for a report on such lines. They don't want to make the report public. Get the whole point, but they're discussing it in brief. I will therefore confine these remarks to general conditions existing, which may possibly be of some use in connection with the information desired. What is the subject matter? What's the affirmative response to the Secretary of State of the United States. 1. Citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries. We talk about the fundamental universal principles of jus soli and jus sanguinis, distinguishing nationals from people who are naturalized, though they both have classifications of citizenship. So you're talking about national, citizen, subject, alien classifications. Are we clear? Now, so citizenship in Morocco is said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenship or protection are considered ipso jure as Moorish subjects. That means you got to prove that you're not Moorish, whether you got a nationality card or not. You got to prove that you ain't. Ipso jure is a legal term which means as the law stands, anywhere in the world, as the law stands, you're Moorish. Now prove you ain't. That's United States law. How come no one discusses this, including the so-called black scholars? Why? It's not in their economic, political interest. Because their clubs belong to Rome. They're overseers. This is why Obama released that Masonic secret in Egypt. Capital Dominion of the Moorish Empire, chapter 47. Pay attention to small things. Don't overlook them. Now, and look as it continues, right? Now consider the ens legis operation, i.e. the 14th Amendment.
I'll make a comment before you continue.
Let me finish this, then make your comment. Yeah, go ahead.
Give him the mic, give him the mic.
Give him the mic. Give him the mic. Go ahead.
In international law, it's called, they call it, and this is misnomer, this is what it's called, the acquisition of nationality.
Exactly.
Which is incorrect, because nationality is not acquired.
It can't.
Right? It's called the acquisition of nationality. And one of the means in international law, what they have under the acquisition of nationality is subjugation. So when what he's talking about, ipso jure, when you can't prove the foreign citizenship, that nation state, all right, under international law through the means of subjugation.
Yes.
All right? So they're subjugating them under Moroccan law, all right? Because they can't prove their foreign citizenship. That's called, but they call it international law, acquisition of nationality. So what they do in international law is they interchange nationality with citizenship as though they have the same meaning. That's why I wanted to
you're exactly correct.
They don't. So that's why I wanted to interject that.
Exactly.
Because they need to be clear, all right?
Good. Thank you, Brother Abdullah.